Dear Cheri, I was shopping for some cannabis seeds and I came across something called autoflower seeds. Can you talk about what those are and why I might or might not want to use them? Thank you. Autoflower seeds is a great question. Hi, everybody. I'm joined today by Mitch Mandel, Cannabis Sherry's grow editor, who I try to bring in on all our grow questions. And this is a great question. Before we get to the answer, though, I just want to remind everybody to hit that YouTube subscribe button and notification bell. And please do us a huge favor, hit that like button too if you get value out of our videos. All right, Mitch, ready to talk about autoflower seeds?
I'm
I'm
ready.
I'm kind
I'm
of a
ready.
fan of them. Are you a fan of autoflowers?
I am. Back in the day when I first started growing, way back when I had brown hair, we
That was
didn't
a
have
long
those.
time
We
ago.
didn't have those kinds of seeds. All we had were seeds. Seeds you would
Right.
get from a bag, or seeds you would find. And then what finally came around were some seed banks cropped up, and they were selling seeds. And they came up with the feminized seeds, which you knew you were going to get a female seed,
Hmm.
a female plant, which was great. You didn't have to weed out your males from your crop, which was a big boon for growers.
Hmm.
And then over the past 20 years, they've also now developed what's called an autoflower seed.
Okay, so
And
explain to people exactly what that means or what it is before we get
well,
into
right.
why you may or may not want to use one.
Okay. In traditional growing, the plants go from vegetative state into the flowering state by the changing of the light. So when the sun starts showing less sunlight day by day as the seasons change, the plant knew, okay, it's time to flower, and you'd flower, which when you're growing outdoors, this happens naturally. When you're growing indoors, that happens when you switch your lights to less light from 18 hours or 24 hours a day down to 12 hours a day. So the plant knows, oh my God, there's less light. It's going into winter time, so I need to flower. Well, the autoflowers, because of their genetics, because their genetics come from a plant called ruderalis, which is a cousin of cannabis. They don't. The ruderalis does not need the light change in order to flower. So now when they've crossbred those plants, now we have cannabis plants that don't need a light change in order to flower.
Mhm.
So you can keep your plants at 18 hours of light if you want, and in 4 to 6 weeks, it's going to automatically flower, and you know what you're going to get. It's really kind of an interesting new technology that over the past 20 years has really come within its own.
Right. And that I think is one of the biggest advantages you mentioned. You know that in 4 to 6 weeks, and it'll say on the seeds that you buy how long it's expected to take. You can plan kind of exactly how long your crop is going to take. You know
Right,
you're going to have flowers in X amount of time.
right.
It takes away that guesswork. Am I correct? And
Yeah, most autoflowers are done within 10 weeks of
right,
planting the seed, whereas a normal female flowering plant is like 16 weeks. So you
right,
you you have 6 weeks less time, so you can actually grow more crops within a year. If you're growing
right.
indoors, you can grow more crops in a year. So essentially you may get a higher quantity, higher just more weed, but
Overall,
the difference is that the plants are a little smaller than
right.
a normal seed gives you,
So
which when
yeah,
you're
that would
growing
be the
indoors
down.
is not a problem.
Right. But that is a potential downside if you're looking to grow a monster plant. You're probably not going to do it with an autoflower seed. But the advantages are in its predictability and the fact that it grows faster than your typical
Right.
seeds.
Autoflowers are also a little more sensitive than a normal flowering plant. So it's really recommended, and this is what we do, is when you use an autoflower seed, you put that seed in its final growing space from the very beginning. Normally, a lot of people, they will start with a regular seed in a smaller pot and then transplant it into a larger pot as it grows bigger. You do
Right.
not want to do that with an autoflower seed
That's a good tip.
because it's a little more sensitive, and that shock may actually shock the plant into not growing anymore, or in fact even maybe even dying.
Okay, that's a good tip. Any other tips or pros and cons you can think of? I
No,
mean,
you just grow them like a normal plant, but just be aware that they are a little more sensitive than a
mm-hmm.
regular flowering plant. But if you take care of it well, you keep it watered and you keep the nutrients up, you keep your fertilizers in, don't transplant, you'll be pleased with the results after 8 to 10 weeks instead of waiting, 12 to 16 to 20 weeks for normal plants.
Okay. Great discussion. Thanks for being here, Mitch, and thanks for
My
that
pleasure.
great question. See you all next time.
Bye bye.